I'm Rebecca. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Learn to Thrive, and I'm glad you're here. Today we have a really interesting topic, and that topic is living authentically and how sometimes we are living on the wrong frequency. So before we get to all of that, real quick, hit the thumbs up if you like this video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to contact me for individual life coaching sessions, you can email me at learntothrivelife.coaching@gmail.com. Now that we have all of that out of the way, let's get to this interesting topic. We hear a lot about being authentic, right? And living out of our authentic self. But a lot of us don't even know who that authentic self is. We really don't. Because we have constructed around ourselves, we have constructed a false frequency. Think about a radio station, right? Think about your life as you have a particular frequency, a particular station you're going to listen to. And that has been constructed by you, and it is mainly constructed so that you feel safe, so that you feel like you have some tools for dealing with frustrations and difficulties and heartaches and whatever as they come up. So it really is your playlist. It's what's inside your head, what you're telling yourself, what you're living out of. You're living out of this frequency, right? That isn't really you. I mean, it's a false protection you've created in a way, right? So we have to kind of deconstruct some things out of that in order to get to a healthy place, to be able to live truly, authentically who we are. So this is the beginning of that journey, I hope, for any of you who are on it, or maybe you're partway through it and I'm just helping you along. But for those of you who've been with me from the beginning and you're just kind of starting this process, this is our journey together, right? So some of you are thinking, I live authentically, Rebecca. What are you talking about? Me. And everybody has to take me for me, and that's it. If you are someone who lives really authentically and you haven't constructed this sort of false wavelength, I'm really grateful for that. But don't tune me out too quickly. Hear some of what I have to say and see if there might not be some remnants of maybe a pattern left, or maybe there's more there that you have to look at to get to. But our point is to get to know ourselves and to be able to be our own best friend, right? That's what we talked about. So think about a scenario with me where you have just accomplished something, and you're feeling good about it, but you can't really feel really great about it until you get affirmation from other people about it, the people that are important to you. Maybe it's from your spouse, or maybe it's from your boss. You want to hear praise and affirmation from people that are important to you. And until you get that, you kind of feel this sort of emptiness, or you don't feel fully confident in what you've done, or you don't feel fully joyful about your accomplishment because you haven't heard external praise from the people that are the most important to you. That is a false frequency. You're looking outside yourself for the validation that you need. So that's one scenario. Think of another one. Think of you're a parent and you like hearing praise about your child in school, and you typically get praise about little Susie, let's say. But one day you get a call from the teacher, and she doesn't have a good report to say about little Susie. Susie's acting up. She's not being kind to other children. She's not doing her homework, or whatever it is that's negative. And you feel a blow to your own self-worth because your child isn't performing the way you want them to make you look good. That's a false frequency. All right, let's think of another one. Let's think of someone who is always really just looking to care for other people, right? They get their validation from fixing other people's problems, helping other people, really physically even caretaking sometimes for other people. That's how they receive their self-worth. And when they're not taking care of someone else, they don't quite know what to do with themselves. And they often don't take very good care of themselves. They don't even kind of know what they want or need because they're so busy taking care of everybody else. That's a false frequency. Or perhaps you're one of those people who, you're the junkie. You're the person who wants the highs. I don't mean you're actually getting high, right? I don't mean you're actually taking drugs, although you could be. But you're looking for experiences in life to make you happy. So you're looking for those highs, experiences with friends. You know, you're always planning the trip to Disneyland, or you're always planning the surf trip, or you're just really always wanting to do fun things. It's harder for you to sit with yourself or with other people and have really real heart-to-heart conversations with other people or with yourself. It's just hard for you because you get your validation from doing things that are exciting and fun. Living for the weekend. That's a false station, my friends. Maybe you are a person who is always kind of anxious about the future. And so you are very planful. You plan for things so you're thinking about a trip, let's say, or something, and you always are planning for the worst things to happen. You're always thinking about the worst things in the future. With COVID or whatever, or school starting, you're thinking about the negatives, right? And so you're worried and anxious about the future, and you are planning so that you won't get caught off guard and you can stay secure because you have a plan. What if it doesn't even work out like any of the scenarios in your head? Can you control anything, really? Right? That's also a false frequency. How about the person who always has to be telling their friends and loved ones their sob stories? To draw people in, to pity them, to feel sorry for them, because they feel better about themselves when other people are showing that they care about them and their problems. That's a victim place, and that is another false channel we can construct around ourselves, right? There are many, many more, and I'm forgetting a lot of them. Maybe we like to acquire things to make ourselves feel better. You know, if we just buy that thing that we saw online, or we can just surf and find the perfect thing that we want online to buy during COVID, because we're struggling. We're just kind of being inside a lot and not having a lot of validation. But if we buy that thing, that's going to make us feel better. That's a false frequency as well. So we have these various things, but as humans, it could be so many things. There are endless number of things we can do to distract ourselves on our frequency from really entering into the work of knowing and loving ourselves and living out of an authentic place. It's easier to just stay on our frequency, right? So I want us to think about something that might help us realize the right channel we need to get on, right? Okay. I'm going to call that channel unconditional love. Unconditional love for ourselves that then filters out to others. And the source of that unconditional love is God, our Creator, who created us, loves us unconditionally. Doesn't say, clean up your act, get everything straight, do everything right, and then I'll accept you. No. God sees us on our false frequencies, right? And He knows that it's a false frequency. He doesn't condemn us. He encourages us to accept unconditional love from Him then learn to love ourselves in a way where we're moving toward healing. We're loving ourselves enough that we're really working on this, right? And then out of that place, we can move to love others in an appropriate way. So I want you to think about a statement from Jesus. Jesus was talking to his followers, and he said, he's talking about the two halves of the law, if you will. And he's talking about loving God and loving neighbor. And in the loving neighbor part, he says, love your neighbor as yourself. He doesn't say love your neighbor instead of yourself, or hate your neighbor like you hate yourself, or condemn your neighbor like you condemn yourself, or criticize or blame your neighbor like you do yourself, or criticize or blame your neighbor because you don't want to own what you've done because of the shame. He didn't say any of those things, but because we've internalized this voice in our head that's telling us these things about ourselves, we live out of that, and we don't live in a good place with other people because we don't know how to properly love them because we don't properly know how to love ourselves. So we blame them, we get angry with them, we criticize them because they, outside of us, are what are causing us all of our problems, right? You see how this works? The false frequency we've set up makes it all about external things to make us truly have a sense of well-being. The unconditional love frequency from God to us, internalized, then works itself out so that we're living on a frequency where we can properly love God, ourselves, and others. So that is today's Thriving Thursday. I hope you found it beneficial, and we will delve more into this as we move along. But I hope you have a day where you realize you are loved, deeply loved by God, and that makes a difference in the way you live your life this day and moving forward. Grace and peace to you this day and every day.